iWorship vlog on IamKeisha.com. I'm so glad you decided to join us today. I have a very good friend of mine here. Her name is Brittnee N. Smith. She's just awesome. She loves the Lord, and I mentioned earlier in a different video that we would be talking about worship from different perspectives. And so I really appreciate her perspective because she, likewise, is a singer, but she also incorporates her worship life in her business a lot. And I really appreciate that. I'm going to let her tell you. So tell us about Girl on the Right. Tell us what you do and
no
yeah.
pressure. All right, well, with that lovely introduction, you're expecting me to be awesome, so hopefully I'll live up to it. But as she said, my name is Brittnee N. Smith of Girl on the Right, and that is my organization, my business.
Yes.
I was getting ready to go into the spiel, but I didn't want to, commercialize it. But my organization pretty much is geared towards women and girls ages 16 to 30, helping them, first of all, if they don't know what their purpose is or what their passion is, helping them discover that. But more importantly, once they discover what God has created them to do, helping them to live their life from that place. And that's what I call your right life. So our tagline is, live your right life right now. There are so many people that go to college, like, I'm going to be a doctor, but it's because their parents told them to be. And really, they want to be a street artist and do murals and designs on the ground and stuff like that. And that's where their passion is. But if God created you to do that, people's lives are going to be changed through that. And if you're a doctor, obviously people's lives will be changed, but there's a different level of fulfillment. There's a different level of impact when it's your passion. So my goal is to coach people, to speak to them, to sing to them, to bake for them, to whatever I do for them, that they're experiencing God. And they're experiencing God through me sharing my passion with them. So that's kind of who I am and what I do. Like she said, I do a little bit of everything. And as a creative person, it's hard not to, but really my goal is to glorify God in everything. So.
And that is really what I love about Brittnee. She really does. I mean, we've gone out to eat a few times, and God will just show up right in the conversation. Right at the table. Yes. And we're like, oh, yes, and this too. And it's always good to surround yourself with people like that who understand, just the importance of incorporating God in everything. There's no separation. But before we get into all of that, I do want to ask you, because God is just awesome in the way that He woos us, and so I'm always curious to know everyone's story on how they got saved, how they met Christ, where did it start? So share with us how you met the Lord and what was that experience like for you?
Okay, so if you experience my ministry now, you might not believe me when I say I didn't grow up in church, because I didn't. I knew church, and my parents took us to church, but it wasn't like a mandatory, we go every Sunday, you're involved in all the ministries kind of thing. So I was just there. But I remember specifically, we were at Tabernacle Baptist Church. And I was 12 years old, and the church was packed. It must have been like a special day, because it was like really, really packed. And I don't know what the guy was talking about, but it was some kind of altar call, and I just felt my body get up, and I started walking down the aisle, like tears, just like, and it might have been like, I think I wanted to be baptized. I didn't understand all the way what was drawing me. But I do remember that I gave my life to Christ. And that's where I was. So like it wasn't like I was living in the gutter and one day I just said, Jesus save me. It was it felt like happenstance. But from that point on, I knew that there was something that I was supposed to be doing. I knew that there was a certain way I was supposed to be living at 12, but and I didn't have the support around me, the spiritual support around me to, cultivate and help me to understand and push me to read and push me to pray. So I was just kind of like, okay, I got saved.
Now what?
And that was pretty much it. And it wasn't until I got to college. I went to Rutgers University in New Brunswick, and I joined Liberated Gospel Choir. And that was my first experience with ministry, like being involved in it. I mean, I've been in ministries, but being involved in the ministering. And I already loved music, but it was different. I felt different. I was like, I don't know about y'all, but I sound different when I sing worship versus if I'm singing like Beyonce or something.
Right.
I can imitate the Beyonce stuff,
Yeah.
but when I'm singing in worship, my voice is completely like different. And I recognized that early.
Yeah.
Now, I was still in that college lifestyle because I was fighting, you know, I was fighting. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go out, but then we got to sing tomorrow. So, you know, but that was my first real shift.
Right.
And God created, it was almost like, because you know, like when you don't know God, there's a void that you have.
Yeah.
And it was almost like God was making me more aware of the void. And when I wasn't being poured into, when I wasn't worshiping, when I wasn't praying, it was like, like kind of like thing, like, okay, it's like a toothache, right? It was just like, won't go away. So when I graduated college, I did not have that support. I didn't have other young people who loved God. I didn't have that outlet. So I was like, I felt it. I'm like, God, where can I go? Went back to my old church and I was like, this is not it. You know, I felt like, okay, it was stuffy and everybody sat there like this and they clapped on cue and I was like, no, this is not it. But then I found my church, Restoration Station. And literally, God was like, now I have you where I want you. I learned what worship was. I learned what the presence of God was really like. I learned freedom in that place. I learned how to listen to the word and apply it to my life. You know, and here I am 6 years later, and it's just a constant like refilling and refreshing, and I'm still learning. But that's kind of like when I came to Restoration Station in 2010, is kind of when my walk with God was like fireworks and Jesus. Like, so that's kind of like my journey of where I really got connected to God.
Well, that is an awesome journey. It's funny because a lot of times I do hear a similarity there where it's like, okay, well, this is when I got saved, but then this is when I really this is when it was real, you know, when I really encountered God. You know, it's just like that sometimes, but it's so, like I said, it's amazing how he just woos us. It's like,
no matter how long it takes.
He stays there like, I love you. I love you. I love you.
Yes.
And I'm never going to leave you. I'm never going to forget about what I had in mind when I created you. Like that
it's mind blowing.
Awesome. It is.
And even now looking back over those years when I was saved but not really all the way in, I can pinpoint moments where I know God was like standing right there like, devil, you can't have it right now, you know, even though she's being ratchet, you can't have it. Like, and looking back, I can identify moments or eras where the people around me were suffering and going through. The people around me, we're all doing the same thing, but they got different outcomes. And it was like God just kind of like had me in a little box and like, you know, covered me. And I was like, so that's how I know when you get saved, even if you get saved and then you kind of go back to where you were, like God keeps his promises. So you might make a promise to God at the altar and you're all emotional and stuff like that, and then you walk away, but God is always there. So you saying yes to God in that moment will cover you from some of the things that you would have experienced have you not said yes to God in that moment, regardless of how you move forward. And like you said, he's just constantly there, like, listen, I just love you. Like, you are just so, I just love you. I just love you.
Just because. It's not anything that you did, that you are, that you know, gave. It's just, I just love you. Just because. I just love you. And you said something else that was really awesome too, in that you're still learning. And that there's no like arrival of like there. Like, oh, I got saved and now I've arrived, you know. We're constantly, the life of a worshiper is to just constantly be seeking after him, constantly wanting to just have him near and be aware of his presence, you know. So can you talk with us about how worship has impacted your daily living? The regular.
Oh gosh. Well, no. For me, worship is my escape place. For me, worship is my, you know, if well, I do have a condition. I have a human condition. Right? And so my worship is my daily sustaining medication. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, people have illnesses and they have to take this medicine or else they'll die. Like, for me, my worship is that.
Yes.
Worship.
It
Like
is.
if I don't worship in the morning, my whole day is jacked.
Yeah.
I can say jacked. That's
Yes.
Christian. Yeah, my whole.
You're
They're
good.
like, ooh.
I know.
My whole day is
Yeah.
like off. I don't feel right. You know, as with a medicine, like if you're supposed to take something because it's regulating something.
Yeah.
When I don't worship, when I don't pray, when I don't, convene with God, my flesh is not regulated like it should be.
Absolutely.
And so for me, worship has shaped my outlook on life. Worship has it reminds me of how big God is and how small I am, and how amazing it is that such a big God would want to fellowship and be with such a tiny little person like me, you know. And it keeps me, worship keeps me aware. Worship keeps me humble. And real worship will do that. I'm not talking about I sing my favorite songs every day.
Absolutely.
And I'm good because I sang the song. Like,
Right.
no.
Yeah.
I need to feel God every day.
His presence.
I need to know that He's with me every single day, because the vision that I have for my life and the vision that my husband has for his life and for our life together and the world that we're trying to change, we need Jesus, and we need that constant reminder that I'm with you. Absolutely. We need that constant reminder that I said yes to you from the beginning of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need that every single day. Every day. And so worship helps me with challenges. I'm in a job where I'm learning as I go. Yeah. And it's new for me and my boss, but like there are things she's like, can you do this? And I'm like, I don't really have any experience doing that. So I'm like, okay, Holy Spirit, I need you to help me figure it out. So worship, like it reminds me that God is my very present help.
Yes, He is.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. And so I take that everywhere, in every situation. If it's not working out the way that I want it to work out, I'm like, all right, God, I give you glory. I thank you that this is all for my good, and whatever. But I'm keeping God in it with me. Yes. Even though He's in it, but like I'm allowing Him, I'm welcoming Him in to every situation of my life. And it just makes a world of a difference. It does. How you handle things, how you see things, how you respond to things. Worship will mold your responses. It'll mold your perception. It'll mold your reactions. Yes. And allow you to love. You can't love for real if you don't worship.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Because
you have to know what
is
it's like.
love.
Yeah.
And that presence has to be there in order for you to operate.
Absolutely.
In that kind of love. It's very, very true. So, can you talk with us about the importance of incorporating worship in your business?
Yeah, definitely. When I first got the revelation that Girl on the Right was it, I knew that it was a God thing. Yeah. God told me, this is it. This is a thing that you were created to do. This is how you're going to change lives. Yeah. And so it would almost be a slap in the face to God for me to say, okay, God, I'm going to build what you told me to build, but I'm going to leave you out of it. Yeah. I would have been like those people with the Tower of Babel, trying to get to heaven or trying to build this thing without God. Yeah. And I know that all the things that I'm going to be doing through Girl on the Right, the traveling and the speaking and the, all the different things that I'm going to be doing, the books that I'm going to write, I need God for all of that.
Absolutely.
He's the person that created the blueprint. I'm just the construction worker, building it with my hands. So it's thoroughly important, for God to have access to my decisions, have access to the relationships that I'm building. I can't do it without Him.
And for you to have access to Him.
Right, absolutely.
His resources,
absolutely.
His directions, His favor.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, and also, this business is still ministry.
Yes, it is.
It's still, at the end of the day, whether I'm coaching you, whether I'm singing to you, whether I'm speaking, whether I'm baking for you, you're going to get Christ. Absolutely. At the end of the day. Yeah. And so it all belongs to Him.
Absolutely.
So I aim to incorporate Christ in every way. Yeah. And it's my business, so I can do that. Because the world tries to say, like, you have to make them separate. You can't have your religion in with your business because no.
But this is your life.
This is it's my life, and it's the lives of the people that I'm servicing. Absolutely. At the end of the day, I'm not selling a product, I'm serving.
Absolutely.
And that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
So when the money comes, the money is icing on the cake. It is God's reward saying, okay, you need to live off of this.
Right, right.
But at the end of the day, it's really about serving as many people as possible.
Yes, yes.
So.
I know, I'm really excited as I hear you talk about it all, because I remember the beginning stages and you telling me what ideas you had, and even just the steps of faith that you were taking, and how you would step out on faith and the door would open, and the next door would open, and you would end up in this place, and then this would happen, and you know, you've really trusted the Lord, and that is extremely important in the process of building anything.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
So can you talk with us about, just as a worshiper, as someone who loves the Lord but also is, you know, building a business, the importance of trusting the Lord, just trusting God.
Absolutely. You cannot do it without trust and without faith.
Yeah.
It's taking a risk. God says, I want you to build this international organization where you're going to be speaking to millions of people about your story and about what's on the inside of them and all these awesome things.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
While the glamorous side of it is like, ooh, that's really cool. But you have to walk it out.
Absolutely.
You know, so I always liken it to Moses when he first experienced God at the burning bush. It was like, okay, God told me all these things, but I'm not so sure.
Right.
But God would not have opened the door for the Israelites to get out of Egypt if Moses never would have showed up.
Yeah.
There would have been no reason for God to part the Red Sea if they didn't actually leave Egypt and get to the sea.
Right.
Because the sea would have just been parted and nobody would have been walking through, right? Exactly. God is not going to waste his miracles on people that are not going to act.
That's right.
And so I told my people on Periscope the other day, if you want resources, you have to build with what you have until you can't build anymore. Because then the other resources will show up.
That's right.
They're only going to show up when you're ready for it.
Right.
Why, if you want to build a house, am I going to show up at your house with a whole bunch of wood and you don't even have a blueprint?
Right.
Absolutely. You know, so it's
you
like,
have no idea what to do with it, what it's needed for.
Exactly. So when people say you have everything that you need already,
absolutely,
that used to frustrate me because I'm like, no, I don't. I don't have the money and I don't have the team and I don't have the.
You show me if I got it.
I need a wardrobe and a stylist. And they're like, no, you have everything that you need for that vision at this level.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have what you need for the vision as you see it in your head because you're not there yet.
Yeah.
You don't have the multi-million-dollar budget for marketing and advertising and rent and all of that.
Do what you.
But you do have a notebook and a piece of paper to get the ideas down.
That's right.
If you're not willing to write it down, you're not going to be willing to do the work.
That's
to build it, to employ
write
people,
the vision,
to all of that.
make it plain.
Yeah.
Write it. But yeah, that's good.
I got an attitude about it because and
it's so true.
I was there.
Yeah.
I was that person that would complain and I don't have.
Yeah.
But now I'm on the other side of it.
Yes.
And God is like, you know, when I hear people talk like that, at first I start out nice, like, oh well, you know, listen, you have what you need right now, blah. But then they keep complaining, and then I get an attitude like, listen,
right.
So so trust,
tough love.
like trust is more important than any degree you can have. It's more important than any experience you can have when you're living for the Lord and when you're doing things in the name of Jesus. Like trust is like your greatest tool. It is. If you don't have trust in God, you can't build God things.
Absolutely.
You can't. Like the trust in God is almost like the currency that you need to buy the tools, the physical tools that you need to build whatever it is. You know, you can't go to God Depot and not have your trust card.
Right. You can't go to God Depot and not have your trust card.
Tweet it.
Write that one down. Yes, tweet that. It's true though. You know, it's extremely, extremely important to trust God, and it's easier to trust God when you know that what you're doing is from God.
Absolutely.
And you know when things are from God when you live a life of worship.
We just went full circle.
It all goes together, you know, because we sometimes just come up with these ideas and we want God to provide for it.
Right.
It's like, I didn't tell you to do that.
Right.
that wasn't for me. That was just, it's a good idea, but it's not a God idea. And it's very important that you hit the nail on the head with that. You said, as soon as I got this, I knew that it was a God thing. And that's key, you know. I really wanted to, I enjoyed our conversation. I wanted her to just share and talk about her story and what she's doing and what the Lord is doing in her life and through her, because that's just a piece. Okay, it's just a piece of what God has in store for her, and I hope that you're inspired to know the same. You know, that what God has for you is beyond what you can imagine, but it starts with just wanting Him.
Right.
It starts with just reverence for who He is and just having a relationship with Him in a way that says, I want everything about me to bring you praise. I want everything that I do, that I create, that I work on, every project, I want it to be something that will bring me closer to you, that will bring others closer to you, because that's what this is all about. That's what our Christianity is for, to shine the light for others to see and for them to be able to come to know Christ as well. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
I really, really appreciate your time, and because I know your schedule is busy, but I really appreciate you taking some time to come and talk about Jesus.
Listen, I have to.
Yes,
I have to.
Yes. Everybody, if you know, it's one other thing my pastor says: you can't hide being in love. Right. When you are in love with God, you can't hide it.
Absolutely.
And you can't fake it either. So I appreciate your genuineness and just your testimony and your coaching and everything that you have given today. I hope that you all were blessed, and I hope that you continue to stay tuned in. See you next time at iamkeisha.com.